it's not about, just being harsh towards the opposite, the oppressor in whatever sense, because in between any and all cultures, there is some type of oppression, there is some type of racism, there is some type of certain things that have happened between groups of people. But it's more about how are you accurately talking about it and what is being demonstrated. And as we learned, here in the U.S., and we've known for a long time that the truth just isn't told because of the reasons, they want to keep people oppressed for whatever reason. And so what has been advocated for in the education community is representation of people, but also positive, imaging, positive things about people of certain cultures and ethnicities, because one person who was of a certain culture, I'll give you 9/11, doesn't mean that all Arabs are of, that same thing. And so it's kind of like, how do we address it without, trying to make somebody feel bad for something that has happened, maybe through their lineage, but also it's more of advocating for, okay, why in 2023 are we still seeing, I just saw a post, we have the first Black male director of one of the college's programs, like all of these like firsts things, right? And of course, there's going to be a lot of firsts for a lot of people, but why is it you when you keep seeing it be the certain group of people being a first of something, like all of these years later, it just doesn't make sense to me.
I think that, so we want to acknowledge when someone crosses like a threshold and they did something. But then you're also acknowledging that they're the only one in their group to have done that.
Yes.
So is it even necessary to say they're the only person in their group if they're part of the collective group of whatever we're calling? Are we calling it humans, or are we calling like whatever?
You're singled out.
Yeah. So what it comes down to me is a type of tribalism in which people are constantly going to be, hey, our shit's better.
Right.
Our shit's better.
Yeah.
And then, particular entities got together that can control the narrative to push an image of we're better. Mm-hmm. So there is some deprogramming that we're doing in this process of language, just how we speak to each other, how we speak about other people. I definitely feel you on that. Okay, so you can continue.
No, and that's a great point, because even in an organizational sense, we have, I was just talking to a partner of mine, and, we have all of these organizations, and the big thing on big corporate organizations is how do they support Black owned or minority owned or that owned, all these things. But why are we just not supporting them?
Yeah.
Why is it have to be a subcategory of support?
Yeah.
You just support them like you support anybody. So it shouldn't be, separated. Yeah. And I think that's, it's very like a psychological war, kind of between ourselves and, how do we rectify it? And sometimes it can be oversensitivity too. Do we need still the recognition at this type of level? Or do we want to be identified as Black owned, or we're just a business owner? But, so I think it has a lot to do with identity, but it has a lot to do with representation and, for us to really be able to take ownership of those things that are ours. And I think a lot of these discussions are a lot about reclaiming things and reclaiming like ownership and title and all the things that have to do with history and kind of where we feel about that. And it looks different for everybody.
And what I think that I think people really do, maybe not instinctually or I should say cognitively think about, is like you're connected to this tribe through ancestry.
Yeah.
So really through the lineage of your ancestors, are you continuing to have these thoughts and these behaviors?
Yeah.
So if you take the time to really study where you come from, and your lineage, then you don't have to create a story or make up a story. The story will just be the story. It's a story of mankind at the end of the day, right? However, I believe that the culture right now is unifying over us wanting to be able to tell our story
right,
and express it so that everyone can agree on an objective truth.
right.
Like, what's just objectively are